right, for months, the Obama administration has orchestrated an all-out smear campaign against the state of Arizona and its new immigration law. And today, Attorney General Eric Holder officially filed a lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of that law. Now, the Justice Department is calling on a U.S. District Court in Phoenix to stop the measure from taking effect on July 29th. Now, the administration claims the law, quote, interferes with the federal government's authority to set and enforce immigration policy. Now, the only problem with that argument is that this White House has consistently neglected to enforce immigration regulations that are already on the books. And not surprisingly, left-wing groups like the ACLU are hailing the lawsuit, but Republicans and even some Democrats were quick to come to Arizona's defense. House Minority Leader John Boehner released a statement that said, quote, the federal government shouldn't be suing Arizona, it should be helping Arizona. And even Democratic Congressman Harry Mitchell of Arizona voiced his disappointment with the Obama administration, calling the move political posturing. Governor Jan Brewer characterized the suit as an attack on the people of Arizona, saying, quote, today's filing is nothing more than a massive waste of taxpayer funds. These funds could be better used against the violent Mexican cartels than the people of Arizona. So the stage is now set for one of the biggest legal battles on immigration in U.S. history. Joining me now with reaction from the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow, and immigration attorney Francisco Hernandez. Guys, welcome back.
Hi, Mr. Hannity. How are you?
I'm good to see you. All right, Jay, let's just start with the basics here. You know, the administration's claiming this sort of undermines their authority, but they're not enforcing their law. So why shouldn't Arizona go forward with this?
Well, Arizona has the perfect right to defend itself. The idea here, of course, the federal government's arguing, Attorney General Holder's arguing that this is an area called preemption, the supremacy clause of the Constitution, in essence. But the reality is the Supreme Court has recognized, and Sean, they've done this consistently, that, in fact, the states can have concurrent jurisdiction on an issue like this. It's not affecting deportations. It's not affecting admissions to nationality within the United States to nationalization. It's simply saying existing law says if you're illegally here and it's found out, you should be prosecuted. Here's what the government says. Well, the federal government says if you do that, Arizona, you're putting more work on us because now we have to deal with this large number of illegal aliens in the United States. Yeah. But the citizens of Arizona have the right to defend themselves, and I think I don't know what this district court's going to do, but I'll tell you what, I think at the end of the day, the Supreme Court of the United States, the court's going to say Arizona was within its rights.
Yeah, I concur. I agree. Francisco, here's the issue. When you read the law, and I assume unlike Eric Holder, you probably have read the law.
I did.
Which I think was pretty outrageous for them to comment on it, considering that he hadn't read it, Janet Napolitano hadn't read it. But here's the issue. All this law does is enforce and refer to and cite federal statute. What's the problem?
Well, that's why it's such a waste of time for Arizona to do, and it was political posturing. So now they're saying the federal government is political posturing. They both just need to sit down. We all need to sit down and work.
But if the federal government is not enforcing the law, and the state of Arizona says, all right, we're going to, as Jay pointed out, this joint jurisdiction, and there's precedent to back that up, what's so bad with Arizona doing the job that the federal government won't do? What's so bad about that?
Well, because all of those inquiries into person citizenships were already going on before Arizona ever passed the law. The law just gives it the color of authority. That's what makes it wrong, when government gives the color of authority to something that shouldn't go on. But let's move beyond that. Let's talk about what we're going to do to solve the problem.
Wait a minute. The law is the color of authority. What are you talking about? That's what the law is.
Why did you need a law?
Establishes rules and regulations.
Then why did you need a new law? You had that nutty
because it wasn't being enforced by the federal government. The federal government has not enforced it.
Bragging about how many deportations he had done and how many people he was turning over to immigration.
If someone's here illegally, do you think that they should be, if they're here illegally, do you think a law enforcement officer on the federal or state level has the authority to send that individual back to their country of origin? Yes or no?
I think you're asking for mistakes. You're asking for mistakes against United States citizens.
See, that's ridiculous. I'm the grandson of Russian immigrants. You know what my grandfather had to do? Wait in line at Ellis Island. It took him 15 years to become a naturalized citizen. That's how you do it. We have legal immigration here.
Now you're on the money. Where's the line? I agree, Mr. Hannity, and you and I have talked about that. Create the line so people can get in line.
The line is
created. There is a legal system in place. You can't, but they're not. My grandfather wasn't illegal when he was here.
The New York Country Club.
Wait a minute, Francisco. Let me ask you. Go back to Jay's question. Jay's question is pertinent to the entire discussion.
Let me answer it.
If somebody violates the law, does not respect the law or the sovereignty of the United States, do you think that law enforcement has a right to arrest them?
I don't think local authorities have the resources or the knowledge to be able to build
Do you think the federal government has? Let me ask you this. Do you think the federal government has the authority?
Into that.
Hang on a second.
I don't think local authorities ought to get into that. Absolutely not.
If somebody is breaking the law, what problem do you have with law enforcement doing their job?
I'm fine with law enforcement doing their job, but you're talking about law enforcement versus a federal job. The law is going to be found preempted. There's no question about that. But it will be preempted, maybe not even by what the court says. It will be preempted by whatever action the federal government takes, by the Republicans or the Democrats. Right. Mind you, I'll remind you that George Bush, with a Republican Congress, also tried it, and with a Democratic Congress. So, you guys, we've got to sit down and start from where we agree.
You're
talking about immigration reform. That's not the same issue as whether Arizona can enforce its law and protect its borders from drug cartels going on the borders of Arizona. They have the right to do it. They have the right to do it. That's what the law establishes. And federal courts and federal government and the states have concurrent jurisdiction all the time. This is not unusual at all.
It's going to be preempted, and it's going to be preempted by further legislation, not by the court.
All right, let me just
take further legislation to enforce the law. Great.
All right, there was a FoxNews.com piece. Illegal immigrants cost the U.S., this is a FAIR study that came out, $113 billion a year. Now, they were talking about education, the criminal justice system, the health care system. Is that not unfair to the taxpayers of this country, Francisco, that they have to foot the bill for this?
If it's true, and I would debate that point for a whole other show, but let them pay for it. Give them a payment plan. Let them pay for it. They'd be happy to pay for it.
So you want to charge illegal immigrants that we're not allowed to arrest, you want to charge them for what they cost in terms of services
Give them a chance to get the treatment. Most county hospitals will not treat undocumented immigrants.
Excuse
me, certainly the case here in
That's not true.
It's illegal.
That's not true at all.
They're not allowed to do that.
That's right.
Oh, absolutely.
That's not what you just said is absolutely incorrect under law. That's incorrect as a matter of law.
Well, we can sit here and talk about that, but let's put that aside. They'll pay for the health care.
Every time we make a good point, you want to put it aside. That's the point.
Well, I'm not. I'm giving you that if it's true that it costs money, but let's put them on a payment plan. Let's put
the illegal immigrants on the payment plan, but we can't arrest them. This is madness. All right,
the cost is to the taxpayers having to pay for this mess.
Put the illegal immigrants on a payment plan, but we can't arrest them or get them.
The economy can't survive without them.
The economy can survive. There's 10% unemployment in this country.
The best economists on both sides of the fence will tell you that they provide a net positive to our economy.
All right,
we've gone from illegal immigration to the economy. There you go. All right.
Thanks, Joe. That's a great transition.
Yes.
I'd love to see both of you arguing before the Supreme Court. Guys, thanks for being with us. And there's plenty more.